Good day. Welcome to By the Way with Beth and Stacey.
Yeah.
I was going to say good morning, but when you're watching this, it may not be good morning.
It may not be. Good day, y'all. Did we just go Australian? Oh, that's
anyway,
funny.
It's morning right now while we're filming this, so my mind just went there. But anyway,
well, yeah, and it's when we film, even though we don't start recording until 9:00, to look this good, you got to get up early, and so Tuesdays are an early morning for this old girl. Let me tell you. But yeah, it is nice, gosh. It was like that storm came through, and then all of a sudden it's cool.
Yeah,
I mean, I've got like the fall bug biting me right now.
I know. I'm ready to decorate for fall.
I'm never this early decorating for fall, but like I am like really, like I said,
yeah, I'm ready.
It's, we were, my sisters and I were painting that house we bought next door to us, and we're going to do short-term rentals on it. And we were in there painting, and I mean, the sun started going down, and you could like hear all the chirping, the crickets or whatever they are,
cicadas, I think, maybe.
Cicadas, yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like really seems like fall out there.
Yeah.
It was cool. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. I don't know. I love fall though.
Yeah, it was a really nice evening last night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think the whole entire summer evenings have been nice. Mm-hmm. Like usually like in July or whatever, you look forward to a night swim because it's still muggy and horrible.
Right.
No, it's been chilly.
Been cooling off.
It's kind of interesting.
That's okay with me. I like the colder weather.
What was it the other day? I almost sent a dirty message to her on Facebook the other day because she was posting, how many weeks till Christmas Day or something like that.
Yeah, I think I posted it on the 25th.
Yeah, I think Jim actually even picked up his phone and said, "Look, you can't be friends no more." But yes, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever happens to you today.
That's right. We have a good show planned, though.
Today. It's an interesting show. It was kind of an eye-opening show.
Yeah. We're going to talk about the founder of Clay County.
Yeah.
The first guy to settle here.
Because it makes you wonder. Whenever people settle, it's not like what we see, not open fields and stuff. It's just got to be nothing but just. Oh, yeah. You're walking into, like, naked and afraid situations.
Sort of.
You know what I mean? Because, like, nothing's plowed or whatever.
It was a prairie. And I read a description of the prairie, and it was, like, the grasses were, like, waist-high or higher.
Yeah.
It was very marshy, and you couldn't really see where you're going. Your horses or your donkey or whatever kind of parted the way. And sometimes you would just flop right down into a hole or a marsh. Mm-hmm. Creek bank snuck up on you because you couldn't see anything. And can you imagine the bugs?
Oh, no. I
mean...
And slugs and snakes and...
Yeah, I mean, and they just, like, forged their way right through all that.
The people of Clay County are very lucky that I was not born back then, was one of your founding fathers, because nobody knew we existed.
No, me either. Mm-mm.
Yeah, have you ever watched that show Naked and Afraid or seen the advertisement? I'm telling you what, it is a what's that when you call it something you shouldn't be watching but you just can't stop?
Like a train wreck?
It is. It's like, who decides to do that?
Yeah, it's insane.
It is insane. And they don't even get like Survivor and some of those. At least
they don't win money?
No. It's
just pride.
Bragging rights. It's a great weight loss. It's a great
Well, I'm suddenly reconsidering it. Just kidding.
If you see Beth and I walking naked down Route 50.
Oh, Lordy. No. That is not happening.
But, that's priceless.
But no, I can't even imagine.
Oh, I can't either. I always joke with Jim and be like, okay, I'm just driving in the back. They're getting ready to drop me off. And as soon as I take my shoes off and hit the rocky road, I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm out.
Yeah,
put me back in the
mind.
truck.
Oops.
Give me my bra.
I just got like 20 mosquito bites. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to bow out.
I'm such a pansy that I don't even I got to bite just trying to water my flowers.
And like ticks.
Oh, I didn't even
think about ticks on those early settlers that came through and forged the way.
I can't even imagine.
Gross.
Not to mention all the diseases and stuff. We have a lot to cover, though.
Not to mention they didn't have any showers.
Oh, yeah.
The nastiness.
The nasty.
Oh, you guys, you can see that we are totally not the type of people that would have settled this county. I would have been the one, like, the state, like, if her husband wanted to go west, I'd be like, okay, see you, honey. I'm going to stay over here in Baltimore or wherever and, like, live in the city.
You go find a nice place and name it St. Louis. I'll stay back here where Mom and Dad are at. Yeah, I'd have been staying on the prairie, wherever I'm not adventurous at all.
No.
I am really not adventurous. The most adventurous thing I've ever, like when you go to Florida and like you're gonna like go what's that where they take you the boat,
like
but they don't just take you like you have to take that banana boat out there.
Oh, goodness.
Oh yeah, Mac and Connor were like, Mom, you gotta go. I'm like, I'm not parasailing. Have you never seen Jaws? Not happening.
Did you do it?
I did not parasail, but I got on that stupid banana boat and let them drag me out into the Gulf to get on the other boat.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm like, Jim was there, and we had a Pablo exchange student was there, and then I was between Mac and Connor, and I was just, of course, they do, and first thing you do is just, and I'm like, oh, my gosh. And then the other part is, so here's your little banana boat. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
That little banana boat, you're straddling.
Oh, my gosh.
And then it's just, and then you got to get on the boat right here that's like this. So you're literally on this thing that's going like this.
That sounds horrible.
And it was horrible.
I don't ever want to do that.
I'm thinking that Jim and everybody's up there, and I'm like, just leave me on the banana boat and take me back. And they're like, come on, Mom. So then getting me from going up to that because,
Yeah.
So I think I just dove on there and they picked me. I'm sure it was graceful.
Oh, man.
Then they parasailed, and then getting back on the banana boat was way easier than getting off.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, because you're standing up, and, this you're just like, of course, the boys were right there to catch their
mom.
Mother.
That's
and Mac
nice.
was like, God, is this what's going to be like when you get home and go in the nursing home, Mom? I'm like, no, it's going to be worse. They're like, man, Mom. But yeah, that's as adventurous as I get, and I was mad the whole time.
The most adventurous thing I ever did was one time I went ziplining.
Oh, see, I'd be afraid.
It was actually really fun.
Was it?
It really was.
Oh.
But it wasn't a difficult course. At each little stop, they had somebody there to help you and move your strap around so you're ready to go to the next.
Well, how do you stop? Like, because you go zing, and then I guess
use your legs. It's like landing a plane. You're like, and you slow yourself down.
Then, you'd have to put your legs up on the thing and pull yourself up to get up on the next platform.
And you kind of are above it. You just have to put your legs down.
You are above it, so you kind of go down. I'm picturing zing.
No.
No. Well, God, I'd probably hit the tree that.
I wasn't the most graceful zipliner ever, but they were very kind to me, and they were like, "You're doing great. You're doing great. You keep it up."
And then you end up on America's Funniest Home Videos. Yeah. Oh my gosh, could you imagine doing that today with people watching? I mean, it'd be all over you. My boys would videotape and video me. They've all ziplined and stuff. We were ziplining one time, and good Lord, I mean, Mac came down, was normal. Of course, then Connor comes down. Of course, he's flipping upside down, and I'm like, the boys in the Mac's like, you flip up. I'm going upside down. It's like, oh my God, they're like doing. They've got the grace and the athleticism to make that happen. And whereas you and I would just be like, don't let us die. No. It's like, and then a lot of those things they want your weight limit. Well, I lie about my weight everywhere I go. My driver's license still says I weigh 130 pounds, I think.
I think mine says the same thing.
And whenever I get pulled over, them cops are very nice. They don't even question that.
No.
Is this really you, Mrs. Earlywine? Yes, it is. But anyway, let's get to our...
what do we got today for an ad?
Well, I picked up our Better Homes and Gardens again.
Oh, I love it when we do the Better Homes and Gardens.
I need to find some more of these books. I've got to get more. But this one is... May 1952. It's right up our alley with what we love and things. I'm pretty sure we've shown you this one before. Ty, I'm going to have you zoom in a little bit on this. And I'm sorry, but it's a little. I've been rough on the old Better Homes and Gardens. But yeah, so this is what it is. It's May of 1952. Look at that setting.
So pretty. Love her patio.
Right? It's gorgeous. I love that chair.
Yeah, we talked about this because she has the full windows from ceiling to floor.
Right, which is super cool.
I want a room like that.
Do you? A room? Yeah. Yeah, it would be nice. But the only problem with my room is, if I have all videos, I want to see the ocean outside that. I love the beach. Man, I love the ocean. But I picked I picked a Crisco ad for some reason, and I think I picked it. Usually something catches my eye.
Ty, you want to go ahead and put that up there?
Put that up there for me, doll. Look.
Here we go.
New lightness, full flavor. This is what truly digestible.
Oh, of course.
So
good.
But what they didn't know about
before there was doubt that it was digestible. I mean, that's what that implies. That people were doubting that it was digestible.
What a difference when you change from ordinary frying fats to Crisco.
So prior to this, people had been using lard.
Lard, which I personally, sorry, Crisco, but because when it's white and hard in the can, it does the same thing when it's in your body. Fry with the one and only Crisco. It's digestible. There they go again. They mentioned being digestible.
They're really pushing that.
What sweet treat donuts can be. So delicately crusted, so fluffy, light, and tender. But it's dollars to donuts. You don't get the kind if you're frying with ordinary fat. One that has an odor and flavor of its own. For such fat tends to drown out delicate flavor. May even give food a greasy flavor. But oh, what a delicious difference when you change to all vegetable Crisco frying. It's so pure, so sweet. Is Crisco really sweet?
No, it is not sweet at all.
I didn't think so. It's so pure, so sweet. Crisco lets the delicate, good flavor of foods come through while it browns them to crisp perfection. See for yourself the difference Crisco makes. Yeah.
I will say those donuts do look fantastic.
Those donuts do look good. I don't know.
They remind me of my mother's homemade donuts that she's slightly famous for.
Well, I've never had your mother's famous donuts.
What? You know why?
Why?
Because you always have your own thing going on at the same time as her Halloween party.
Oh, that's true.
She fries them for other people other than just family, only at her Halloween party, and you're too busy to come to that.
Well, I wonder if this is, because this is like this isn't just like a can of biscuits that you throw in.
Oh, heavens, no. That's homemade donuts.
Yeah, these are real donuts. What? Yeah.
Made with things like sugar, flour, eggs, and sugar.
Crisco's in there.
Of course.
Milk, sifted flour, baking powder, salt, nutmeg, and then Crisco for deep frying. Mm-hmm. Interesting, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and I love the look on, yay, the kids at the bottom. Yay, donuts. Mm-hmm. Gosh, I don't eat donuts. I miss our bakery. I loved our bakery. Gosh darn,
donuts are my weakness.
Donuts are a big, anything sweet's a weakness for me. Brownies, your mom's stupid cupcakes.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez. And she's always like, oh, Daisy, here's some cupcakes. I got extra. I'm like, I'm trying to be on a diet. It's your mother's fault I'm fat.
Well, I'll tell you that
Debbie.
I told her that she needs to stop bringing stuff to the house because I also didn't want it all the time. So she started taking it to you.
Yo, thanks. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to take a commercial break and we'll be right back.
At your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville, you can count on experts to have the solutions to keep you running on the road or in the field. More than just your car, the Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville carry a large inventory of Napa products for farms, heavy trucks, and just about everything that moves. Experienced associates understand your needs and are ready to help with the perfect part at a great value. That's Napa Know-How at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville. Briscoe Surplus Sales on the northeast edge of Flora is your one-stop do-it-all shop. Looking for rugged boots and footwear from great brands like Lacrosse, Rocky, and Carolina? They're there. How about top-notch small engine parts and service? Briscoe Surplus Sales has it. Whether you're wiring your switches or switching your wiring, Briscoe Surplus Sales has the solution and the know-how to help you get the job done right the first time. Briscoe Surplus Sales, your one-stop do-it-all shop.
We like technology at Flora Savings Bank. Here's what you can accomplish in our mobile banking app in less than 30 seconds. See account balances in your transactions, set up an account alert, make a transfer between accounts, get an alert text message about your transfer, pay a bill, turn your debit card off and then back on. It all happens in the palm of your hand with our free My Bank to Go app. Search My Bank to Go in the App Store or Google Play and give mobile banking a try. Flora Savings Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Give me all your lumber. Doors, paint, windows, electrical, plumbing, and much more. Oh yeah, give me all your guns too.
John Lucas.
What?
You You better be dreaming about all the stuff we sell here at Zink Building Center.
Oh, I would. Zink Building Center in Louisville on Route 45. It's a cool place.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I'm Beth Cooper.
I am Stacey Earlywine, and we are going to talk about the first settler in Clay County, Mr. John McCawley.
John McCawley.
Yeah.
First guy that paved the way here.
Yeah, and we don't have any pictures of him.
We don't. It was a really long time ago that he came through.
You betcha. Yeah, he was born December 24th, Christmas Eve baby.
Aw.
December 24th, 1782. He was actually born in Jefferson County, Kentucky. John was born to James McCawley and Sarah Gilmore. James, his father, was born in Scotland, so he's from Scotland.
Okay.
He's got that. And when he was young, he moved to Northern Ireland. And he married Sarah. After marriage, they immigrated to the U.S.
The mom and dad.
The mom and dad. We're going back early history. This is the founder's parents.
Okay.
And when they came to the U.S., with him came two brothers. His brother William settled in South Carolina. The other settled in Virginia. And then James and his wife Sarah settled in Kentucky, and they all together had 7 children.
Okay, wow.
So our founding father is Scottish, full-blooded Scottish. And his parents remained in Kentucky, and he had 6 brothers and sisters.
Okay.
It's funny, though, when I was looking for all this stuff, they only mentioned the one brother, James. I think they don't mention any of the other ones.
Daniel. I have information on Daniel.
Ooh, is it any fun stuff?
Oh, I'll get to it. You keep going.
Cool. Okay. So, John stayed in Kentucky until 1810. So what was he born in? 1782. So what do we got there? 32. So he stayed in Kentucky till he was 32 years old. Then he left for St. Louis. So he's in Kentucky. I guess he's wanting to take off on his own. 32 years old.
And he was with Daniel at the time.
He was with his brother Daniel?
Yes, they were together. John and Daniel.
And so he made it as far as north as Clay County. He got to Clay County, and a horse got sick.
That's right. They were going to go make their home in St. Louis originally.
They were headed to St. Louis.
And then Daniel, the horse actually died. And then Daniel rode with the others back into Kentucky to get another horse.
Yeah.
So he left John here. I don't know why, and was like, all right, I guess I'll go home to get a horse. I mean,
I guess they couldn't ride.
There was nowhere else to go. I mean, no one else was here.
Yeah.
But by the time Daniel returned with horses, John had decided this was actually kind of the place he was looking for.
He fell in love with the Wabash River. I can't even, and apparently the Wabash River is not the Wabash River that we see today. It must have been because there was they went to New Orleans on the Wabash River, and all sorts of, the Wabash River was highly traveled.
Well,
so at one time,
Clay County is the Little Wabash River.
Where's the big one?
That's the one we cross on the way to Evansville.
Okay.
And I think it's still passable. I mean, it's a pretty big river.
But if he's settling in Clay County,
I think he would take the Little Wabash to the Wabash. I'm serious. And then go to wherever.
It's like New 50 and Old 50.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you
can't even imagine.
You take Blue Mountain 161 to get on the interstate.
That's
Basically,
right.
that's what
exactly
he's doing.
What happened.
The river, you traveled by water back then.
Yeah.
Or
how interesting. Gosh, I can't even imagine. Or horses that die.
Yeah.
So then Daniel, his brother, rides back to Kentucky. I wonder how long that would take.
I would think weeks. Honestly, I don't know where at in Kentucky they were, but I would say at least 12 days because I saw another journey that took 12 days and it was not as far as that.
Right.
So anyway, they started to build a log cabin here.
Yeah, so why wouldn't you? Well, the first thing you're going to do is find shelter, right? That's what they do on those Naked Survivor and Naked and Afraid. You get shelter.
So as the story goes on, there's not a whole lot more information on Daniel other than that he married an Indian girl. There were still a lot of Indians around here. So we may touch a little bit on that today. We may save that for another episode. I don't know, but
I have some Indian
and then
in
Daniel and the Indian girl, they moved farther south in Illinois.
Cool.
And then Daniel died. a few years later.
So Daniel died. I wonder if he was younger or older than John.
I think he was younger, but I'm not sure.
Huh. Interesting.
Okay, so then my next part is when John goes to Kentucky
Okay, where am I at?
to get a girl.
Okay.
Because there were no girls in the woods at Clay City. John was the only one there. Unless an Indian gal walked by.
Well, sure, yeah. So we're talking. He is the first white man in Clay County,
Exactly.
hanging out there on the eastern? Is it the northeastern? The northeastern side, the northeastern part of Clay County.
There was not another white man for 40 miles around.
Right. So
Can you imagine being 40 miles from civilization and like having nothing?
No.
Me either.
No,
God
I
bless
can't.
the people that did it, but whew, boy.
Yeah. So actually this began when he built that cabin. It became the first settlement of this part of the state. I got that there were no white men around for 60 miles. But
Oh, well, the story grows.
yes, the story grows. But I did find out that he did have a good relationship with the Indians.
Yes, he did. We're going to get into that a little
We're gonna
bit.
get
but
into
he
that.
liked to sell them liquor.
He did like to sell them liquor.
That's how you make friends. He knew that. He's like, well, how am I going to get these guys on my side? Well,
How do I
get
get
a little
these?
Tennessee whiskey and a little Kentucky bourbon, and here you go,
Well,
Indians.
because it makes you wonder if John McCawley is the first settler white man in our county, Clay County, which by this time, when did they name it Clay County? When did they name it after Henry?
Oh gosh, I don't have those notes in front of me.
I think we'll talk more about Clay County when it got its name when we talk about the early Clay City when we do that episode. But at this point, it's not even named Clay County.
No,
I think
we mentioned that on another episode.
McCawley might be, because McCawley was considered a Whig at the time. We'll get to that in a little bit. I'm jumping ahead. But anyway, but can you imagine, like, if you're the Indians, would McCawley be the first white man these Indians have ever seen? He would have had to have been.
Yeah.
If there's not another white man for 40, 60 miles, I don't think the Indians probably kept, because there were different Indian tribes.
Well, right. And some of them were nomadic, so they might have seen
Right.
some somewhere else. I don't
Right.
know.
So interesting.
Okay. So John went to Kentucky in 1812. So he was only here for 2 years.
Right.
And then he thought, I need a girl.
So what? Right now is he about 34 years
Uh-huh.
old? 30, and 34 is pretty old for a guy to not be married. Don't you
I kind of
think?
wonder if there were others before her, and maybe something happened. Like they just, people died young.
I don't know.
Could be. I don't know. That would be weird for 34 to not be married.
That's what I think.
So he married Martha Lacey in 1812.
On Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. How nice. So he had a romantic side, Beth.
I don't think it was Valentine's Day yet.
Okay.
I don't think that had been declared a holiday yet. They didn't even know. They had no clue. So
he's back in Kentucky. It's 1812. He marries her, and I said on Valentine's Day, but Beth just corrected me and said Valentine's Day probably wasn't invented.
No.
And what are we going to do? We're going to get married, and then we're just going to leave her behind and go back to Clay County.
yeah. So thanks for all you've done for me, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks for the wedding night.
Yeah, great wedding night. Exactly what I wanted. That's what I'm in this for, and now I'm gone.
Well, I think, part of mine was, he didn't want to take her back to that uncivilized
Maybe it wasn't
area.
safe,
It probably wasn't safe because even when he leaves, when he comes back, he's still the original, the only white guy in the area.
Yeah.
So I might, they're kind of like, yeah, well, leave her back there because then I'll go and make you a place is what I kind of think. So he left and he goes back to the Wabash.
Yeah. Where there was 2 little bridges there that I think that he built across the water. And of course, this article that I got some of my information from was written in the 60s, the 1960s. And at that time, you could still see where the bridges had been. And there was a really low spot in the river right there where people had been fording it for years. Even the Indians used that as where they forded that river. Yeah. I would love to be able to find that spot. We have talked about how we'd like to find that spot. I wonder where how would we even begin? I mean, because you're talking, it's the Clay, because it's northeast, but the northeast section of Clay County goes up to how far?
because eventually
it goes all the way up to like Ingraham.
It goes to Ingraham, but he basically settles Clay City.
Yes, so I don't think it's very far north of Clay City.
I don't think it's very far north either.
I think maybe we should try to track that down at the Genealogical Society library.
Okay,
they might
let's
have
do
some
that.
clues on that.
Yeah, that would be interesting because I would like to go see that and see what it's like now. I don't think I want to just go walking up and down the Wabash River.
Yeah.
We live in a civilized society, and neither one of us want to go just walk up and down. Get your canoe, Beth.
No thanks.
We could kayak.
Yeah.
You want to kayak?
No. Like, have you seen I think there would be places where you have to get out and walk because that river has so many trees in it.
There's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
But I would be interested in paying someone else to do it for me and report back.
I like that. So if you're willing to take a kayak on the Wabash River, find the spot where McCawley built some bridges. And
then photograph it.
Photograph it.
And report back.
This
sounds like a job for John Baylor.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
It does. John Baylor.
Put him in a
kayak. We've got you. We'll put John. Can you see John? I just got a picture of him going down the Wabash River.
Yeah. Okay. So back to McCawley.
Let's go back. Okay.
So he stayed in Kentucky during the duration of the War of 1812.
Right.
So he wasn't there for just a week. I think he stayed a little bit longer. But when he came back, he brought someone with him. Do you have this information?
I don't think so.
He brought back someone named Seth Evans with him.
Ooh.
Okay. So Seth Evans married. He eventually had a daughter, and then married someone named Walter Gill. So there was a way to track back his information, and come to find out, he lived from 1799 to 1874, and him and his wife, Keturah was her name, are buried in Foster Hill Cemetery, and they both still have legible markers there. So he was
nice.
really like the second guy here.
Seth was.
But from his burial dates, he was only 11 years old when he came back here with McCawley. So
interesting. I wonder if he was a relative.
No, they suspect that he was an indentured servant, which was a situation not uncommon in those days.
Yeah.
So that would be an indentured servant. For those that don't know, you're not really a slave, but you work for this person free. They don't pay you. You do everything they want you to do, for a certain number of years, and then you're free. That was they would have a contract. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, that doesn't really happen anymore, but I have a son that is 11 years old right now, and it breaks my heart that some mother was so poor and in such terrible circumstances that she had to sign her son up to go do this.
Yeah.
Or he was an orphan or something and had to go. Can you imagine how terrified an 11-year-old boy would be to just go follow this man who, and I don't think we're going to get into a little bit more about McCawley, but my personal opinion of him is not high.
Yeah.
And follow him into this wilderness and do backbreaking hard labor.
Yeah.
For whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would imagine
to me,
it is a
terrible circumstance.
Well, let's take a commercial break, and we will come back with more of John McCawley.
If you're looking for a loan for your brand new home, call Clay County State Bank. If you want to transfer money so your future will look sunny, call Clay County State Bank. We got checking and savings and bill pay too.
An online banking, just ask our crew. For all your banking needs, we think you will agree.
Clay County State Bank is the place you need to be.
Clay County State Bank.
At Clay City Banking Company, we're all on the same team, regardless of zip code. At home, work, school, or across the country, you can be part of our team with our cutting-edge mobile banking products. From your hand, you can check balances, transfer money, make deposits, and pay bills. Looking for a loan? We've got you covered with our mortgage, agriculture, commercial, and consumer loans. Join our team today. Clay City, Flora, Louisville, and Fairfield Banking Companies. We're the hometown banks, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
It's the weekend and your symptoms are worsening. The morning of a big meeting and you have a bigger sore throat. Ever experienced that urgency after picking up your sick child and your community health center has already closed? You will be able to connect to a provider at crhpc.org. Even if you have never been to CRHPC, you are welcome to utilize our services. Feel better after scheduling a video visit with CRHPC.
tomorrow. Some fear the uncertainty it brings. Some trust the promise it holds. At Grinnell Mutual, we are always looking forward to tomorrow, growing and innovating. So even if the plans you have for the future aren't the same as the plans the future holds for you, you can be ready. Because we'll be ready, like we have been for over 100 years. Trust in that. Trust in tomorrow. Talk to your mutual agent today.
Your local agent is on the square. Louisville, Clay County Farmers Mutual Insurance.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Today we are talking about John McCawley, the founder, or the first settler, anyway, of Clay County, Illinois.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are.
What a guy.
What a guy. What a guy. A Scotsman that moved to Kentucky, that moved to Illinois, went back to Kentucky, got married, comes back to Illinois. I want to talk a little bit about the second time he comes to Illinois, first time, and then goes back to Kentucky, gets married, and then comes back without his wife. At this time period, it is the Black Hawk War is starting. The 1812 War is beginning when he comes back. And like we touched on a little bit, he made friends with the Indians that were here in Clay County already. And it said the Indians served him well. And by served him well, he was kind of like the first bartender. Don't you think McCawley was more like the first bartender?
Yes.
And then I've got this really interesting story. So the War of 1812, the Black Hawk War. And
I don't think the War of 1812 is the same as the Black Hawk War.
Are you sure?
Yeah. It's different.
Is it two different wars?
I think so. I'm pretty sure
I don't know.
Okay, but go ahead.
Okay, so... I'm just going to call it the 1812 War.
Yeah, the War of 1812.
The War of 1812 was beginning. The famous war chief, I don't know how you say this, Tecumseh, Tecumseh, was marching through this part of the county. And he was the war chief was making his way to Indiana. The war chief was ordering all of the Indians to slaughter all of the white men on their way to Vincennes.
Yep.
So he was asking them to murder the white man.
Women and children.
Women and children. It didn't matter if you were white. The Indians were slaughtering you. What's great about this story, though, is so McCawley's got this relationship with the Indians in the county. The war chief's coming through. He's ordering his Indian soldiers to kill all white people. And the Indians that McCawley had made friends with, they actually smuggled him. They took him to Vincennes where he could be safe.
Yeah.
So McCawley, they're like, hey, this war chief's coming and he's killing everybody. You need to make your way to Vincennes for safety.
Yep.
There was a fort in Vincennes for people to remain.
And all of the families in southern Illinois were moved to forts.
Yeah.
To avoid the squads of Indians who were out on patrol.
Yeah.
There were at least 30 different massacres during that time.
Wow.
It occurred in the southern third of our state with approximately over 60 fatalities.
Really?
Mostly women and children.
Yeah. Well, because it makes you wonder. I mean, I don't know. You think back to some of these things and women and children were not really held to highest stand, so it's like, oh, save the men and let the women and children be. I don't know. I hate to be that way, but it seems like that's the case. But so McCawley takes off, traveling to Vincennes, and in the meantime these Indians from Clay County have his back, and so they're kind of pushing him along and kind of holding back the Indian troops, for a lack of word to call them. And when he makes it to Vincennes, and literally part of what I read was he makes it to Vincennes, and he kind of turns behind him and he can see the people that's been protecting him, the Indians that's been protecting him, and then from what the article says, they just kind of turn around, disappear back into the woods, and head back to Clay County. So they must have really, but we're going to do an episode on Indians. So, because it's very fascinating. You don't really think about it when you're just driving around, all the Indians that would have been had settled that were here. Yeah. So I find that very interesting. Do you have anything else to add on that?
I don't, I have a few things that are a little later.
Okay.
So
yeah,
where are you at with?
Well, basically, so what's the? And then after he went back to Vincennes and made it to the fort, he did make his way back to Kentucky, and he stayed there until 1816.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, he escapes
the
war. And then in 1816, he literally brings his family back because the war's over. And
I don't know that he brought her back just yet.
You don't think so yet?
I think that first trip back was just him and the boy, and then I think he did back again and got her
back and forth.
Yeah, well, I think he brought the boy to help him get everything
prepared. Yeah. So now it's 1816, and the war is over. What did you find out about that, Ty?
Yeah, they're two different wars.
Two different wars.
Yeah, Black Hawk War was 1830.
Yeah, the Black Hawk War was 1830. The War of 1812. The War of 1812 was not just with the Indians; it was a bigger war.
Everybody else.
So
more wars,
wars, and wars. So another thing I found out about McCawley that made me lose even more respect for him was the fact that once he did get settled here, he owned several slaves. Probably less than half a dozen, but he did own them. The McCawley settlement consisted of a few cabins on the west bank of the Little Wabash River near the Vincennes-St. Louis Trace, later called McCawleyville for a while. And, you know, a trace is just basically a path. It's just a trail that people used before there was roads. So he was right there on the main pathway between Vincennes and St. Louis. So he did have travelers that went back and forth. It says, then 11 miles west of those along the trace in Harder Township, there was now another settler, Thomas Elliott, had a cabin. And then 2 miles farther along the trace was Matthias Meisenheimer's cabin. And then 6 miles further west was the home of William Lewis. And then in Louisville, there was Goebel.
Right.
And I have a bunch of stuff on him, too. But,
well, yeah, after we do the early Clay City, let's do the early Louisville.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's
there's
pretty
a lot on him. Goebel got here not very long after McCawley. McCawley gets to the title of the first man, but I mean, McCawley was here within months. I mean, Goebel was here within months of McCawley.
Yeah, because it's not going to take long for people to start settling. Because when did McCawley come in the first place? 1811, 1811, something like that. So I mean, people are starting to. I mean, because you know the United States is people are moving in, so they're settling all over the place.
Oh yeah. So by 1825, do you want to skip ahead this far? What McCawley was up to in 1825?
Yeah, let's talk about what he was up to in 1825.
Okay, so in 1825, John McCawley, William Lewis, Matthias Meisenheimer, and Thomas Elliott, so all those guys I just named, they were all within like 6 to 10 miles apart from each other. They got themselves a tavern license. You know, McCawley liked to sell liquor to the Indians.
That's right.
So now he's officially licensed by our county board. So there was already a county board in 1825. There was a county board. These were probably the only people on the board.
But the people, I was going to say.
But they granted themselves a tavern license.
Well, yeah, because McCawley also made himself the first judge and the first.
Yeah, he was the first everything.
He was the first everything. But if I'm the king, I'm going to do the same thing.
I can't blame him for that. I would do the same thing. So the license fee was $2.50 each.
How funny. Which seems kind of high.
And it says in specie. I don't know what that means. Or its equivalent in state paper, and $1 in specie to the county clerk. It seems that they had money troubles then, too. Specie was metal coins. Okay, that's what specie was. The United States did not print paper money until the 1860s.
Really?
So they had to use coins. Illinois put out some notes or bills, and the board also ordered the tavern keepers to be governed by the following rates. So here were their rates for their tavern.
So who are you getting to work there?
The slaves, the indentured servants. Okay. This is their rates. For keeping a horse one night was 37.5 cents.
Okay, 37.5 cents.
They had different money.
That's true. That is weird.
Species instead of. Okay. Lodging for one person was 12.5 cents. So it cost more to keep your horse than it did use, but probably because they fed it and
horses were probably more important than people.
Supper was 25 cents. This actually all sounds kind of expensive, really.
I'm thinking it does. I think it sounds expensive too.
Breakfast, 25 cents. But see, we're not really counting. It's not cents, really. I'm saying cents because it's listed as 0.25, but it's 0.25 species. And that is, for those not familiar with that, it's spelled SPECIE. This is the money that they use.
Really?
Specie, I think.
Yeah.
So, okay. Horse feed was 12.5 cents or species. 1 quart of whiskey was a quarter, 25 species.
Okay.
A pint of whiskey was 18 3/4 species. A gill of whiskey was 0.06 1/4. So like 6 1/4 species. Thomas, let's see that. Then those guys went on to die not too much longer after it. Thomas Eliot in 1842 and Matthias Meisenheimer in 1845. So their little business venture lasted a little bit,
right? Because literally, I mean, it's not like it's just so hard to imagine that because you think about starting a business now, and it's like you got you have a population. You didn't have a population, so like you said. The slaves, so they probably didn't pay the slaves anything.
Oh, no, they wouldn't have.
They would have paid the slaves anything.
Yeah. So George Goebel was one of the guys that founded Louisville eventually, but he was an early settler. He went to work for McCawley for a while in 1816, but he had some trouble. He couldn't get along with his employer.
Well, I wonder why.
And in the spring of 1817, he moved to a little bit further away from him. And this would be very near the present location of Clay City Cemetery.
Yeah.
So according to Goebel, McCawley threatened him during the summer. And Goebel lost a horse and 5 cows due to poisoning. Now, who do you think did that?
Dun, dun,
There's
dun.
not very many suspects around.
I was going to say, that's not the time to commit a crime. The time or the place to commit a crime.
And then it also goes on to say that it is further revealed that the Goebel family suspected McCawley in the death of the mail courier in 1810.
Yeah.
These were suspicions. So the mail courier that went through the area every so often had a mysterious death near McCawley, and he was the prime suspect. But, of course, he's also probably the sheriff at the time and the leader of the county board and everything, and no one can touch him. There's only like 5 people around.
Mike, it's almost like politicians today.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's like nothing changes from the 19th century to the 21st century. Nothing's really changed. We still have this. Gosh, greed is just greed.
Oh, yeah.
My goodness sakes alive.
Yes.
But let's take a quick commercial break because this is like fun stuff we're talking about now.
Back.
Do you bowl like this? That's great. Do you bowl like this? That's great too. That's because whether you're a pro or you just want to have a lot of fun, at Pegel's Silver Dollar Lanes, we have a lane for you. We have galaxy bowling, gaming for kids and adults, Joe's Pizza, a full bar, darts, pool, and fresh and clean bowling shoes. Boy, does that smell nice. So come on down to Pegel Silver Dollar Lanes in Effingham, where we have a lane for you.
My name is Robin Stanford. I own Stanford Marketing. It's a promotional products business along with an embroidery business. And we do custom hats, t-shirts, anything, you name it, we can make it. People like that we do stuff in-house and we can actually make things here and that we're not contracting the work out to other places. We never say no. We always try to find a way to do it. If anybody can do it, we can do it. We are hardworking women, that is for sure. Come to Stanford Marketing in Flora for all your custom and promotional needs.
The insurance specialists have options to tailor to your needs at CSI Insurance Brokers. Experienced insurance brokers at CSI are skilled with all types of insurance plans and policies and represent many companies, including Safeco Insurance. You'll benefit from their detailed expertise, unbeatable premiums, and commitment to customer service. CSI Insurance Brokers and Safeco Insurance Company, providing affordable rates on quality insurance since 1952.
For over 50 years, at your locally owned and operated Royal King Supply in Salem and Olney, we've helped you and your neighbors enjoy an easy country lifestyle. We carry the most thorough sporting goods department around with a huge variety of hunting and fishing gear, camping equipment, and a variety of firearms for any need. Our team is here to help you find whatever you need. Open every day, it's Rural King in Salem and Olney, your locally owned farm and home store.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Today we are talking about John McCawley, the first white man to settle in Clay County.
Yep. Very interesting fella.
Yes, he is. So one thing that I had in my notes that I didn't mention was that the place where he settled is called McCawley's Point, and there was actually a battle there in 1814. I think it was maybe part of the battle with the Indians. But whenever he arrived the first time in 1810, one of the reasons that he only stayed a little bit was because there was a great earthquake in December of 1811.
Oh, wow.
And that caused him to go back for a little bit. So I did not know about the earthquake of 1811.
I never heard about that.
So I thought that was interesting.
Wonder how bad, supposedly we had an earthquake just not too long ago down.
Oh, yeah?
Did you hear about that? Just a couple weeks ago.
Side note, when 1989, do you remember when that guy predicted the major earthquake that was going to happen on the
I remember
Madrid
that.
fault line?
Yeah.
At the time, I lived in Harrisburg, which was a lot closer to the fault line, and it was serious business where hardly anyone went to school that day. Our classrooms were stocked with piles and piles of distilled water gallon, and the kids that did go to school that day all wore football helmets. I'm not lying.
I remember. I was married, but I remember them talking about that. I remember it was a big deal because people were like, "Oh, we need earthquake insurance," and everybody was kind of freaking out about it.
Yeah,
supposedly there was just a earthquake, a little 2-point something down, maybe down by Harrisburg.
Yeah,
I don't know, but anyway, so
back to McCawleyville. So they eventually named his area that he was settled near McCawleyville, and that was the first post office to be opened in Clay County.
Yeah,
I wonder if that's before or after he killed the mail carrier.
Maybe he wanted to be the first postmaster. So you have to do what you got to do.
It says it was near the Little Wabash River in Clay City Township.
Yeah.
It was opened at McCawley's trading station January the 14th, 1825, but was discontinued 3 months later. Maybe that's when the mail carrier died.
Probably.
Or maybe
because those mail carriers, they went from St. Louis to Cincinnati. Vincennes, back and forth. Can you imagine?
No, those were really brave people.
Those were brave people, the mail carriers. Yeah.
So
every day they traveled. Yeah. But right now Clay City does not exist. I can't remember when the year Clay City actually existed, but we'll talk about that in our early Clay City episode a few down the road here.
So here's another interesting little tidbit. So we don't really know for sure. So McCawley was the first white man to settle here, but we don't really know who the first white man was to cross Clay County soil.
True.
But it is likely that French, English, and American colonists were in this area before 1779. So, that's all around the time of the Constitution, which was 1776. So we're going way back to then. There is a tradition, a hand-me-down story, and I don't have anything to verify this, but this is what it's just been told from one generation to the other, that George Rogers Clark and his volunteers, on their way to capture Vincennes in 1779, on the night of February 11th and February 12th, camped on the high ground in Clay County, which is now occupied by McKendree School, which is now Christ Church.
Right.
That's neat. Does that kind of give you goosebumps?
It does.
They camped right there.
Well, at the depot, the statue. Don't we have the statue?
Yeah, he definitely came through here.
He definitely came through here. So McCawley was the first person that just stuck around.
Oh, right.
Everybody else is passing, because people have been passing through since.
Oh, right.
Yeah, there are 1700s.
I just found that tidbit about McKendree School.
That's interesting. And I wouldn't consider that a high ground, though, would you?
Well, maybe it was then. Everything's leveled out for the roads and stuff.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. Huh, that's interesting. Because I think, I don't know. When I think about high points, I always think of Mount Zion Hill. Of course, we know the highest point is, what they used to call, I can't remember what they called that hill. I'll talk about that when we do Maysville. But there was the highest point, and it's over south of Clay City. That is the highest point of Clay County now, that there used to be a homestead on. But to me, when I think about a high point, I always think of Mount Zion Hill. But yeah, maybe you're right. That probably that probably was. But yeah, that's interesting that they passed through.
Uh-huh.
And once again, when you're passing through, are you just literally making your way through the marshlands?
Yeah. And the prairie and
the
trees.
Orchards. I mean, because we'd had all the.
I don't know if the orchards were here
Were the
yet.
orchards there yet?
I don't think so.
I don't know. Because Florida didn't get established until 1850.
Mm-hmm.
But Clay County was known for orchards, so they had to have been popping up.
I think they had to be planted.
You think? I don't know. Well,
I don't know. That's interesting. I'll have to think about that.
That is interesting. I would think that'd just be something God put in the ground.
Oh. In straight lines?
Yeah. If God can't do it, nobody can.
I agree. If anyone can do it, God can do it. But I do think the orchards came later.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, fun.
Mm-hmm.
Not much later. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, so interesting little journey into McCawley's life.
Okay, so where are we at now? Because so he's brought his family back to the little cabin, and now he's buying land.
Mm-hmm. I jumped ahead to 1825.
You did jump a little bit. That's okay though, because we'll just talk about the land. Because this is crazy because I've got that he bought 160 acres and he paid $2.50 per acre.
Oh wow.
And continually buying land around, and eventually ended up with like 1,500 acres. And then, besides farming, he also started stores, and of course, he traded with the Indians.
That's where he made the money to buy the land.
That's where he made the money
Indians.
From the Indians. He made the money from the land. He bought from the Indians, and now he's farming, owning a store. He's got the post office, a few murders under his belt. And I did find it interesting because, once again, they started there, like he made himself the first judge and that type of thing. But in the early days, we all know Henry Clay is who Clay County is actually named, but Henry Clay was what they called the Whigs. The Whig. And McCawley was part of the Henry Clay Whig fan club, I guess you could say. But then eventually he did he became part of the Democratic Party.
Okay.
And they said he wasn't really much of a politician, but he was the first the county commissioner.
Okay.
But it's kind of interesting. But I guess if you're the first one in the area, you can pretty much do what you want. Now, McCawley is buried on a family plot. He is related to Mark Wiley.
Okay.
And people know Mark Wiley. He's been from the area, and he's a referee and an umpire and all those things. And he called me one day, and he said, hey, I was talking to Jim, and you were talking about the McCawley episode. And apparently McCawley is his great-great-great-grandfather once removed. So Mark's got some land. Come to find out, the entire McCawley family is buried in a family plot over there in Clay City.
Okay, well, wherever that is almost to the exact spot where the cabins were.
Right.
Where his settlement was.
It's right where, and Mark told me, right now there's corn planted around it, so we can't get to it. But he did say as soon as they cut the corn, he's going to take us back there so we can see. So that's where we'll find out where it's at once Mark talks about it.
Because I have somewhere in my notes about where he's buried in relationship to where he lived. I think it states how many miles apart they are.
Right. Well, like I said, Mark's going to take us back there. I was just, I was really hoping that we would have done this episode.
A quarter mile southwest of their cabin.
Right.
So the graveyard is a quarter mile southwest of where they live. So once we find the graveyard, we're golden.
We'll know where they're at now. And so when I was talking to Mark on the phone, I was like, oh, can we go now? Because we're going to do that episode rather quick. And he's like, well, there's corn growing up, so I don't think the farmers would want us,
right?
Because apparently we have to go back on 4-wheelers or
okay.
Yeah, we can't just drive back there because it's back there. So he's going to take us back there. I'm really looking forward to that.
Okay, yeah,
because apparently the family has kept it, unlike the Higginbotham, the Black Cemetery.
They've kept it.
The McCawley family has kept it.
That's wonderful.
I love that. I do love that.
I love that.
I love that too. So we are going to get to go see where it's at.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to that.
We'll take pictures of that. We have another future episode on another settler that was around the same time, the Goebel from Louisville. We're going to talk about him. So maybe we could throw in the pictures of McCawley around that, because that would be in the fall after harvest, I think.
Yeah, so that'll be a good idea. Well, I'll make a note that we can do that. But I don't know. I thought that was really interesting. And he probably wasn't too much different than the other white settlers that
No,
came
they
in.
were probably
They're all
very
the same.
similar. So I
Pretty
kind of gave
similar.
him a hard time because some of his decisions. For at the time, he was probably just a normal white guy.
Just a normal
white guy walking around with his slaves and selling liquor to the Indians so he can make money off of them to buy the land out from under it. That's all.
That's all.
So what do we got today? Let's do a rule to live by. We always end our show with a rule to live by or a famous quote. What you got?
Okay. So this one might be a good one, and this was by Mary Engelbreit.
Oh, Mary Engelbreit. She's from St. Louis.
Yes,
she's an artist.
Yes,
she's famous for many different art prints that hang all over the place.
She's
something about a queen.
She's a smart lady.
She is. What'd she say?
If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change the way you think about it.
That is smart. She probably painted that on one of our pictures. They always have like a cute quote.
Yeah,
so
I like that.
Say it again.
If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change the way you think about it.
That's really good advice.
It is good because, so I don't like it. I really can't change it. So instead of dwelling on the fact that I don't like it, find something good about it.
I don't like that McCawley was suspected of murdering the mail carrier. So I can't change that. So I'm just going to change my mind about it and say that mail carrier was probably a horrible person. And McCawley did the right thing, and it was self-defense. And now I'm suddenly not mad about it. Is that what she means?
I'm almost thinking. Yeah. Well, it's like if you don't like something, I need to lose some weight. Don't really feel like I'm changing it. So I might as well just be a cute, chubby person.
There you go. Oh, man. Thank you, Mary Engelbreit. We can solve all of the world's problems now.
I think we can justify just about anything, can't we?
I'm not happy with our government. That's okay. They're helping us.
I can't do that now.
I can't do that one without getting too political.
No.
Oh, gosh.
You're not supposed. You know how I feel about. You're not supposed to mention politics because it makes my blood pressure go up.
I know. We'll change the subject. In fact, let's just. What else? What should we say before we sign off for today? It's not political.
That God made all the apple orchards in a straight line.
Yeah. He probably did. What do I know?
He probably did. I don't know. That's so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a fun episode. It was kind of fun for people to know.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting, important thing to know about your county.
Well, and that lineage is still here. People
it is.
Yeah. I mean, I just love the old things. It make me happy.
Me too.
I wish we did have a picture of him, and maybe.
Yeah, maybe one day I can find one. I did not.
I didn't. I couldn't. Well, it was hard because he's not on
fire. Did they have cameras back then?
No, I don't know.
Note to self: let's do an episode on when the camera came to be.
Okay, episode 62.
Actually, that might qualify into next week's episode. I have an episode planned.
It is. You could touch on that. Write that down. Write that down because you want to remember that one. But yeah, so John McCawley, a Scotsman that settled Clay County. Well, I think we're done for today, babe. I don't think we.
As always, you can find us on Facebook at By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Like and follow our page and share it. And you can email us with show ideas or questions, comments at bytheway@gmail.com. As always, we're on Channel 100 on Wabash Television, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Or if you're not in the viewing area, you can find us on YouTube. And our YouTube channel is By the Way with Beth and Stacey. So
fantastic.
We will see you next time.
All right. God bless you. Have a great day.